This is Dr. Carroll, and this video is going to step through coding up an exercise to calculate population density. So here in the top I have comments about what it is we're trying to accomplish. We're going to write Java code to calculate and display the population density, rounded to one decimal place, for each of the countries listed in a data file. We can assume that the data file has a country ID in the first column, the population in the second column, and the land area in the third column, and they're all separated by each column is separated by a tab character. So that data, the file we're going to work with here is country ID, population, land area in terms of kilometers squared here, and so okay, it looks like it's all whole numbers. And okay, good. So ID doesn't have any spaces in it. Okay, that's good. Okay. Fact. Oh, there we go. Okay, so that's good. Let's look at that data file. Okay. And so we want to produce country and then density. Country, density, country, density. Now, how are we going to go about this? Hopefully you recognize the pattern that there is a header to the file. Let's go back here. There's a header to the file. And then after that, there's the pattern of row of information, row of information, row of information until the very end. So we need to do something different about that header. And then when we're reading in this row, we read in one word here, and then we need an int, and then this could be a double. Land area could be stored as a double. It doesn't look like any of them are, but let's be flexible here. Population had better be a whole number, because otherwise that's weird. But the land area really could be a decimal. Okay, and then we want to calculate those. Density is population divided by the land area. So let's do this. This would be like a hint of how you would go about it, the 5 steps. We need to try to open the data file. Notice the keyword try there. We need to ignore that first line, and then for every other line, get the country name, population, and area, calculate the population density, and then display it. So let's work through each of these in terms. So try to open the data file. And so this, I'm going to use a scanner object to illustrate this. Oh, scanner's not defined. We're not providing our own scanner class, so we need to import it. Okay. And then scanner. So we have our scanner object here, and then here we want to just set it to null to say, okay, hey, here's our scanner object. Because now inside of a try block, and when we have try, we need to have catch. There we go. Inside of the try block, that's where we're going to open it. And so we could try and open it here, equals new scanner. And then, we're not going to do system in here because that's going to be keyboard input. We're going to read it from that file. So we can't just say country data.tab. It won't let us do that. So what we have to do is we can give this scanner object, we can pass it a file object. Let's look at the documentation for the scanner class. I'm going to go to the constructors here. So notice this first one. Usually the other ones we've seen have been an input source and then do a system.in to read in that stream. But now we want to do something different. We want to say, hey, it'll take a file object and then be able to scan that file. So let's do that. Let's create a file object here. And then creating a file object, we need to pass it what the file name is that we're going to be opening. Okay, but we need to specify that as well. This is an IO, java.io file. And so that will allow us to open up that file, read it, and be able to do that. Now, the error we want to catch, one of them would be IO exception. IO exception here, and we'll call it E. That's very common to specify it as E. And we don't really have a good backup of what to do, so let's just call the stack trace on it to paint a picture of what we're going to do, and then let's get out of here. Okay, so we'll just exit because we really don't have something better that we can do. All right, let's make sure this compiles and runs, that things are working correctly before we get too much of an example going. Okay, so, oh, it didn't. Oh, that's right. We were so good. We imported everything else, but we didn't import java.io IO exception. Okay, let's try and, yes, it compiles. And so let's run it. Before I run it, let me just show, yep, country data tab. Okay, well, it ran, it didn't throw any exceptions, so that's a good sign. It doesn't do anything at this point. But hey, we try and open the data file. We're going to open it up. We're catching any exceptions and throwing them, so that's working. It's in the right directory. Everything's compiling, so this is good. Let's build off of this. So now let's ignore the first line. And so what we need to do is we need to use that file object, the scanner object, but you can think of it just like it was from the keyboard input, but imagine somebody on the keyboard's typing that whole file in. So we could say next line, we could say, hey, just throw away that first line. And what we could do is just say header, and what might be good is just to say system.out.println. And I'd probably say debugging, ignoring the header, and then just putting it in here that that's the header. And just to make sure, you know, is this really ignoring the header? Ignoring the header. Good. Good. That looks good. And so now we just need to do for every other subsequent line, read it in, okay? And so now for every subsequent line, reading all that, we'll just leave all of that there. So we could do a while data file scanner has next. In part, so hey, peek ahead. Are we at the last line here? And if it returns true, that means there's more to read. If it returns false, there's no point in reading anything. So here we could say string country ID, and now let's read off. Let's pull off the country name. Okay, but it's really country ID because it's a little different than name. And now the next thing we want is a next int. Okay, now we need to store that, and we could call that population. And then next thing we need is a double, and let's do area. Now if it really is an int, that's fine, because integer syntax is a subset of double, so we are fine there. And now that we've done that, we can calculate density equals the population divided by area, and now we can display that. Print line country ID. Let's put a tab in there because that's what it was before. And then let's round it as per the requirements density. Okay, and then shift it back. Doesn't compile. What's going on here? Math round. One error. Cannot find symbol math. Cannot find symbol math. Okay, I got so excited. We're not creating a new math object. We're calling a static method to round. There we go. Oh, sweet. Let's see. Let's scroll up to the top here. Afghanistan 58.3, Albania. Great. There we go. There's a demonstration of population density using a file scanner to read in from a file. Hope you enjoyed it.